this in the mornings. My name's Doug Okuniewicz. I'm a senator from Legislative District 3, which is Hayden, Rathdrum Prairie. I'm the chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee. I also sit on the Resources Committee. I think the question was what we need from you guys. Sorry about that. There's a lot of feedback, so I keep pulling it away from my face.
What's your priority for the 2025 session?
We've got a long list of things. I guess my first priority is I'm making a run for leadership in the Senate. My hope is that I win, and if I do, I think we might be able to open some floodgates on more conservative things in the Senate. So we'll, if we get that spot, I think you'll see a lot of bills that have previously kind of been drawered, basically. So I think we'll see a decent run at grocery tax repeal, for one, and then we'll have conservatives in leadership positions, being more of them in positions of as committee chairs. And committee chairs are the ones who are the gatekeepers, basically, for all legislation. So that's a big part. I guess for me, that's a really big thing. It's more than a normal set of goals. You're sort of setting aside your own projects, and you're trying to figure out how to do things on a bigger scale. So, in a nutshell, that's where I'm at.
Okay, I'm sure everyone here is, who is this guy? No, I was not. I figured I'd pull a Kamala Harris. No one voted for me, but I just showed up. No, that's a total joke. No, I'm actually here representing Jordan Redmond. He is down south in a meeting in Boise, so he sent me just as a representative. He just said, thank you so much for electing him for the second term. He's humbled and honored to represent District 3. The committees he serves on are the House Health and Welfare, House Business, House Environment, Energy and Technology, Joint Legislative Oversight Committee, Medicare Review Panel, and Artificial Intelligence Working Group. What are your legislative priorities? He has bills that are drafted now that I'll go down the list of the bills that he's looking to introduce this session. Number 1, getting the Bible back into public schools. Number 2, no state funds or welfare benefits for people in our great country illegally. Number 3, deregulation in the building trades. Number 4, Medicare reforms to ensure it is helping those truly in need and giving long-term sustainability. Number 5, E-Verify to prove that people are in the workforce are here legally. Number 6, proper funding for law enforcement, including funding from cities and unincorporated cities paying their fair share. Number 8, school choice. Number 9, obtaining management of federal lands, followed by ownership of our lands back to our state. And his last one, harder penalties for crimes committed against kids. So I'm just here representing Jordan Redmond. I won't answer any questions because I can't speak for him.
Hi, my name's Elaine Price. I'm representative for District 4, which is Coeur d'Alene proper. How do you follow that? Yeah. I'll vote yes. Focused on family and children, which I focused on last session as well. Just to say a word for Ben Tays. Ben Tays is out of town, family vacation that he had planned for a while, so that's why he's not here. we're trying to work on some legislation to require age verification for social media accounts. We feel social media is one of the, is causing the deterioration of our children. So we want parental consent on these social media accounts. So, but that one is tough because it's in the courts in some of the other states. So we're kind of trying to wait and weigh that out. But that is going to be my focus. I think this last session I was on education, commerce and human resources, and local government. And I'm looking to possibly change to the appropriations committee, which is working on the budgets. So that takes up a lot of time, and being a newbie in that committee, I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna get to run all the bills that I have planned, but I do plan on running the repeal of the Blaine Amendment.
Hello, I'm Heather Scott, and I'm District 2, which is part of Kootenai County, Athol, Spirit Lake area, Shoshone County, Benewah County, Clearwater County, and Bonner County. So we probably have the largest district here. It takes me about 5 hours to get to the other end of my district. This is my first time at a Kootenai County forum, so it's nice to see so many people here. I usually don't come home during session, and that's why you missed me during session. I have a list of over 48 bills, so to save time, so we don't go through and clack at the good ideas, what I wanted to touch on briefly is our vision. So I am the co-chairman of the Idaho Freedom Caucus. And what we have done is we've just become better organized. And we work as a group, we work as a team. There's many people on this stage that are public or private members of our Freedom Caucus. And what we did different this year is we set out a vision. We felt that there just wasn't a good direction. No one has a plan for our state. We are always on the defense and tired of being on the defense. Tired of showing up and being on the defense. So I'll just hit the main points of our vision, just 3 main points. Number 1 is reclaiming sovereignty and liberty. We want to limit this federal overreach, and we've got a lot of legislation and ways to do that. We want to secure our individual rights instead of these group rights that keep getting pushed onto our country. Number 2 is empowering local economies and education. We want to build local communities and local economies instead of this global economy that keeps getting pushed down our throats. So we have ways to do that. Part of that is competitive education and reducing some of these business regulations and licensures. And then finally is to uphold traditional values and virtuous leadership. We are tired of the wokeness. We all are. So we have a lot of ways to promote the traditional family, to empower families and the mother and father family. Some of this will touch into in vitro fertilization and stuff that's going on through there. Also the culture. We want to see wholeness in our culture. We want to see Americanism. We don't want this global agenda being pushed through our libraries, through our arts, and our communities. So we have lots of ways to do that, and we have a team that is working on all this. We also have a site set up, our website, where you can put in your bill ideas, and I think we're up to 70 now, so be specific, but hopefully some of them overlap.
Good afternoon, Vito Barbieri, District 3. Many of you probably don't know, I was born in a middle-class family. Worked hard at that one. Anyway.
Now we're unburdened.
As many of you know, I've worked administrative rules, our ability to review those rules. What's the focus of that? You know, there's two things that the legislature really has authority over: budget, the money, and the administrative rules, the rules that affect us in our daily lives. So we've been working on that. There's still a lot more that's got to be done. We got it so that both houses have to pass a rule before it becomes effective. Excuse me. And we have a lot more. They don't even expire now. They're living in perpetuity. We've got to get them so they expire at a certain day. We've got to get the review down. There's a statute that we're not following. It's 67454 that basically sets out a procedure for the legislature in the interim to have germane joint subcommittees to review those rules and then report back to the germane committees. We don't do that, never have. I'm sure the reason why is because it's a lot of work, and it would be a lot of effort in Boise. And now that Zoom's available, maybe that's going to be a little easier. I just have been attended a couple of meetings that were in Boise with Zoom, and that was very, very convenient, not having to get on the plane and do all the rest of that stuff. But the point is, with respect to the rules, the legislature is the junior branch. There's no question about that. Why? The budget is 1/700th of the entire state budget. It has not grown. It's always restricted because whenever we try to raise it, the media says we're growing government. Great, we're growing government when the rest of the government is really growing. We're not. Authority, constitutional responsibility. These we are trying to claw back, and that's where the administrative rules comes in. So over as a general rule, those are the things we've got to deal with, and part of that is what Heather touched on, and that is the continuity of the policy. Every 2 years, you think, well, someone's lost or someone's retired. Someone else will step into that role and take that responsibility on. That's not what happens. You think, well, that was very important. Maybe I can take that. No, I've got mine. New person comes in, they have their priorities. So continuity is very important. Those policies that we set out, if we can have some way, and it's not going to be easy, but some way to keep those attached to the legislature so they continue to work on those. Now, if we're going to have a radical swing, we all become rhinos, okay, then those wouldn't be important anymore. But keeping the idea as the principles that Heather laid out, the American principles, when I say Judeo-Christian, the Christian principles that we all long for to get away from this woke, entirely insane. And isn't that the question? Is it sane or is it insane? And we're in insane trying to move to sane. Can't be very easy. I'll let it go with that. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Tony Wisniewski. I'm a representative for District 5, which is Post Falls down to Worley, down to the county line. I'm serving my 5th session this coming January. I'm on the Education Committee, the Commerce and Human Resources Committee, and the Environment, Energy, and Technology Committee. And I'm also a proud member of the Idaho Freedom Caucus, and as Heather mentioned, a lot of the bills that we'll be supporting this time are cultural and religious issues. Talking about cultural evolution, this country was founded on Christian principles, and you didn't need a law to define the 10 Commandments. They were just a given for everybody to obey, and even government obeyed them. In 1907, the state of New York put on their books a law outlawing adultery. And just this last week, they have canceled that law. So we see God's law taken care of for 130 years of our country. Then we have to pass a law to support the 10 Commandments, and now we just totally ignore God's law. So we would be working on those kind of cultural issues. My main emphasis will be on school choice, sound money, border control, property tax deferral to protect elderly folks who are on a fixed income and are cash rich as far as equity in their home, but cash flow poor. And then the last thing is medical freedom of conscience, which I've worked on for 2 years and have not been able to get it through the legislature as of yet. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe Alfieri, and I represent District 4, which is Kootenai. My seatmate is Elaine Price. And first of all, thank you for the re-election. I'm very excited about it and humbled Honored to serve you again. We are at a historic time. We have achieved something which I thought was not going to happen in this last election. We have a fantastic opportunity to reestablish America, to make it what the founders conceived, and to bring back the kind of country that we grew up in. I see a lot of gray hair. The kind of country that we grew up in, that we thought that we had. And I have never been more excited about the future of America and the future of this great state of Idaho than I am right now. It is just absolutely fantastic what we have before us. So we have to, as I say, make hay. We have the opportunity now to do what we have promised that we were going to do. And I'm going to I think we're all going to work our damnedest to make, pardon me, I said a bad word here, to do what we promised. And one of the things that I've always been very concerned about is election integrity. And I will point out that that lady that ran for against President Trump won every state where there was not a voter ID, and she, right? Okay. So that proves the importance of establishing a secure election. So I'm going to work on that again. I'm going to work on absentee ballots, which I think we need to shore up, and we want to get rid of the affidavit votes. We also have to get rid of these stinking chemtrails that are poisoning us. And I'm also a little concerned about this now manufactured food where they're growing meat in a laboratory. So something else I'm going to look at. Senator Taves and I ran a traditional Family Values Month resolution last year, establishing approximately the month of June as a traditional Family Values Month. We managed to get it through the House on a 59-11 vote, and it died in the Senate. I think we have opportunity, I'm looking down at our senators over here, to get it through the Senate this year. So that will establish that in Idaho. So you know, those are some issues I want to work on. Obviously, many more. Thank you.
Well, this is interesting. We've got 5 mics, and we feel comfortable with this one, I guess. So I will use it as well. I'm Carl Bjerke. I am the senator for District 5, and welcome. It's nice to see so many people interested in politics here on a nice, kind of rainy day. I am the vice chair of the Senate Finance Committee. I'm also on health and welfare. So when I start thinking about some of the things that are my priorities, one of the biggest ones revolves around the budget. And we've been working diligently since the session ended quite a bit on our next stage of kind of revamping the budget process here in Idaho. We made that big change last session where we separated out a maintenance budget separate from the line items, adding a little bit more accountability, a little bit more transparency to the budget process. And we've been working diligently this interim session to get that next step out in rolling. And we're there. And we're going to a performance-based budgeting model, outcomes-based. You know, a lot of people, you know, if you haven't been involved in making budgets, you can kind of look at dual line item days where people wanted to make sure they spent everything in their line item because they were afraid they weren't going to get it funded the following year. Performance-based budgeting or outcomes-based budgeting is really going to move us one step further to providing the kind of oversight that the legislature needs when it comes to budgeting. So there will be, you know, obviously performance measures that these agencies are going to have to correlate with their strategic plan. So when they ask for a new line item, they'll be having to give you, you know, some metrics, some type of, you know, outcomes-based measurement. So that I'm really excited about that. You know, you heard from Elaine. She's thinking about getting on the budget committee. It's a lot of work. I was able to get some bills accomplished that I was really happy about, especially pertaining to medical freedom. I'll be the bulwark, or at least an impediment, I hope, in this next session as well. I was able to get 3 medical freedom bills passed in the last session, and I will be eagerly trying to accomplished similarly this time. Talking about the budget, we are looking good this year. Our projected revenues are higher than what we anticipated coming into this next budget cycle. That's a good thing. I don't want to get too into the weeds, but we have some things that we're going to have to deal with. There's some interesting things in health and welfare, of course, with the Medicaid budget. So we will be working very hard on trying to kind of taper those budgets. I'll be hoping to look at some kind of legislation that will provide some curbs to how we're spending in health and welfare. The one good thing we have is we have a new director, Alex Adams. He is fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to working with him. So, like I said, the budget is all encompassing. We've been working hard. We'll be working hard as the session starts. Medical freedom stuff is still my big push. I'll be working. I was able to accomplish work requirements for the SNAP program. We're probably going to be looking at providing some type of requirement for other welfare programs. Now that we've got a new administration, some of these things won't be such heavy lifts. So I'm looking forward to what we'll be able to accomplish now with the kind of backing of an administration that we can have a little help, a little wind in our sails. It won't be such an uphill battle like it's been in the past. So looking forward to it, but again, the budget is, it's a lot of work, and I'm hoping that we can really make some inroads to really making this a tight, fiscally responsible state. So I look forward to that. Thank you.
Dale Hawkins, District 2, Seat B. Heather's my seatmate. Phil Hart's our senator. My goals are about the same as they were before, with a few added things. I do sit on the Education Committee, Commerce and Human Resources, and local government. I am dedicated to pushing through a form of school choice where we can get parents what they want outside of this government brick and mortar system that's failing all of them. And the other thing I would talk about, and I think it affects the budget even though I have no desire to be a JFAC, pushing back on the illegal immigration. I don't know that we all realize how it affects all of our lives everywhere. It's exasperating our education budget. It's exasperating the welfare and Medicaid budget. It's exasperating every budget you touch your hands on, including jails and everything else, and we need to push back. I intend to propose a bill for enhanced penalties for companies that hire illegals. I pushed House Joint Memorial 11 through, and I will tell you that when we were in the State Affairs Committee, and it was very hard to even get it through committee. We barely got it through committee. But when the lobbyist from a certain industry in Idaho was on the stand arguing against HJM 11, Representative Scott pressured after I think 3 or 4 times asking how many illegals there are in that industry. They would not admit to the word illegal, but what they finally said was 70% of the employees would fail an I-9 audit. That's illegal. And when this measure came to the floor, to see the amount of representatives that tried to excuse this as though, everywhere you go, you see these people, they work hard. That's the irrelevant point. They came here illegally. They did not come and wait in line. So if our current elected to be president will hold his end and push back, it'll certainly allow it easier for Idaho to do the same. As well as that, I would like to get, and I'm not sure how we do this, I know there's going to be a lot of pushback, but I would like to get personhood attached to the unborn. I think it's critical. And as well as that, it's weird that we would say we have to strengthen parental rights, but it's hard for us to realize that over years we've turned more and more of that over to the state. And we need to get that all back into the home.